Hi class, today we're going to do a discussion of international trade with a brief look into who trades with who, the size of international trade, and then we're going to be talking about the gravity model and some anomalies within the gravity model. So first, who trades with whom? So about 30% of world output is sold across national borders. The five largest trading partners with the US are Canada, China, Mexico, Japan, and Germany. And the largest 15 trading partners are about 69% of the value of US trade. Here's a graphical exposition of the major trading partners with the US. You can see Canada, China, and Mexico round out the top three. So, the gravity model. Gravity model is all about the size of countries. So, three of the top 10 trading partners were also the three largest European economies. So, why does the United States trade more with these European countries than with others? Largely, it's because of their size of their GDP, which is, again, GDP is the value of goods and services produced in an economy. So here's a graphical exposition of this. You can see Germany, United Kingdom, and France are those top in the right corner there. So the gravity model. The gravity model, the synthesis of it is that the size of an economy is directly related to the volume of imports and exports. Larger economies produce more goods. They gain income from these goods, so they're able to buy more imports. And the trade between any two countries is larger, the larger is either country. That's the relationship. So the gravity model assumes two things. It assumes that size and distance are important for trade in the following way. So here's the formula where T sub ij equals A times yi times yj divided by dij, where Tij is the value of trade between the two countries I and J. A is a constant. Y sub I is the GDP of country I, while Y sub j is the GDP of country J. D sub ij is the distance between the two countries, and the distance will be critical. So generally, the formula looks like this, where Tij equals A times Yai times Ybj divided by Dijc, where A, B, and C are constants that differ from 1. So looking for some anomalies. So within the gravity model, there's some anomalies. The gravity model fits data pretty well, but it's not perfectly. The Netherlands, Belgium, and Ireland are some anomalies that are key. Largely, the large result with Ireland is that there's a strong cultural affinity because of the common language, the history of migration, the close cultural ties between Ireland and the United States, the amount of trust we have with each other. And then for the Netherlands and Belgium, these countries have lower transport cost advantages due to their location. Both Netherlands and Belgium are blessed to have really nice harbors and low transport costs within the country. So let's talk about some impediments to trade, some distance, barriers, and borders. So there's other things that matter for trade besides size. First off is distance. Remember you saw that distance factor within the formula for gravity model. Distance between markets influence transportation costs. So it's more expensive to trade between the US and China than it is to trade between the US and Mexico or Canada. Next, for an impediment, is the cultural affinity. Close cultural ties, such as common language, um, common culture, trust within the historical trust relationships, and allies, usually lead to strong economic ties. For example, we're really close to the United Kingdom and Ireland and Germany, so we trade a lot with those two countries. Geography also plays a huge role. Ocean harbors, lack of mountain barriers, types of rivers is key, whether the river is a cascading river or whether it's a river like the Mississippi. These make transportation and trade easier. Multinational corporations. So corporations spread across different nations, trade within nations as they transfer goods between different factories and different divisions. And then borders. Borders involve formalities such as changing currencies, waiting for the ability to cross borders, monetary costs like trade, tariffs. So, some more impediments to trade. So, we have some the estimates of the effective distance. 1% increase in distance results in about a decrease in volume of trade in between 0.7% and 1%. Borders increase the cost and time. Trade agreements are intended to reduce these formalities and tariffs needed to cross borders, and as a result, they're intended to increase trade. The best example of a trade agreement is NAFTA, which was signed in 1994. Because of the closeness of Mexico and Canada, the amount of trade is larger as a fraction of GDP between the US and European countries. So here you can see some key EU countries compared to the trade that we have with Canada and Mexico. See that Canada and Mexico are clear outliers to this trend. So even with free trade agreements, there still seems to be a reduction in trade associated with borders. So there's much more trade that we can see in the data between Canadian provinces than there is between Canadian provinces and states, even when we hold distant constant. So here you can see some key Canadian provinces matched up with states for distance. And here you can see that trade with British Columbia between Canadian provinces is much higher than trade with states of around the same distance away. So you can see that Alberta trade as a percentage of GDP is about 7%, while trade with Washington, which is a similar distance away, is about 3%. So has the world gone smaller? This negative effect of distance on trade that's predicted in the gravity model is significant, but it's grown smaller over time due to modern revolutions in transportation and communication. So some technologies that have been key have certainly been the internet, airplanes, increased technology within the shipping industries, GPS satellites. So some other factors are political factors. Wars can change trade patterns. So world trade grew rapidly during the Industrial Revolution. It suffered very sharp declines due to the two world wars and the Great Depression, and it didn't fully recover till around 1970. So, following 1970, trade has reached unprecedented heights. So you can see here, there's those gaps where the world wars occurred, where we don't have clear data. And you can see that throughout time, world trade has been rising. So what do we trade? Today, most of trade is manufacturing products. Services is about 20%, while mineral products is about 19%. Agriculture products are about 8%. So you can see that on a pie chart right here. Additionally, what do we trade? In the past, large fraction of the volume of trade came from agricultural and mineral products. In 1910, both the US and Britain mainly imported and exported agricultural and mineral products. That was during a period of transition between more industrial economies to from more agrarian societies. In 2002, manufactured products made most of the volume. So here you can see throughout time between 1910 and 2011 how trade has changed. So besides the US and the United Kingdom and rich countries, low and middle income countries have also changed their consumption of their trade. In 2001, 65% of exports from low middle income countries were manufactured and only 10% were agriculture. In 1960, 58% were agricultural and only 12 were manufactured. So you can see throughout time, these low and middle income countries have gained some technological and industrial abilities and have now been able to export manufactured products as compared to agricultural products. So more than 90% of the exports of China consist of manufactured products. Here's the changing composition on a graph. So service outsourcing, this is what you hear about most when you hear it within the public debate. So a firm can move its customer service centers over to a foreign location. So service outsourcing is not a big part of trade. Some jobs are tradable and have potential to be outsourced, but most jobs need to be done close to the customer. So here you go, you can see a tradable industry share of employment. And that about wraps it up for lecture 1.